And again, it doesn't matter whether you're on eEdge, I mean, that's the best tool to use. If you're on Top Producer, if you are at an Excel spreadsheet, or if you're writing it on scrap paper, do it. Just do it, and you'll see the results. Any big ahas for anybody in that? Something you learned about yourself, something you thought was going to be spooky and it wasn't, something you thought wouldn't be and it was? Does anybody feel like if you keep doing this every day, it's going to become more natural?
And I didn't use a script.
Didn't use a script?
No.
Totally okay.
And they don't bite.
Because the
Nobody
script
bites.
is what flusters me when I'm talking, because it's not, I know you have to practice them and stuff, but
Yeah, and
that'll
scripts,
come later, right?
scripts, the ease with them
More you
comes
talk.
later. The more you do them, the more you personalize it for yourself.
Yes.
The trick to scripts is keeping the structure of it. Our scripts are written with very clear psychoanalytical pieces built into them. So you can change words, but you don't want to change kind of the pattern or process of them, right? Cool, okay, so the people you talk to now get a note. And everybody talk to at least one person, so everybody can write at least one note. So let's just take 5 minutes and write down a personal note. You may not have brought note cards with you, that's okay. You can just write out what you're going to then transcribe probably by 1 p.m. today, after you get home and get to your desks.
Anybody want notes?
No,
No.
David has everything.
You really do.
you're amazing. I actually have so many at home. I feel bad taking them. Do you guys want?
No, but I gotta practice. I'll write it out first and then I
Yeah.
rewrite it because I don't trust myself to write as well. I wanna wreck it.
Remember what Lou said, he writes so badly that people can't read it and then
I
they
love
call
it.
him.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that great? That's
What
what
is
Lou,
this
chicken scratch?
that's what Lou told us. He
Yeah.
writes notes and people can't read them, so then they call him.
Oh, I love how he's
Isn't that-
making that sound intentional, when it's really just because as an accountant, he never learned how to write nicely.
I have to say, so I started doing like letters after closings, and like the texts I get are like so sweet. So like
Yeah,
I think that you should always, when in doubt, always write a note. 'Cause-
that's a good rule.
Yeah, because
When in
everybody's
doubt, write it.
always happy to see
Yeah,
it.
because it's probably not gonna go off anywhere, but you'll feel better. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, it's funny, we had the grand opening party a couple weeks ago, and one of our KW offices from the East Coast sent flowers. Now, I know they didn't write the note that came in the flowers, because that's not how floral
Right.
stuff works. But I still really liked opening the note and seeing this handwritten,
Yes.
congratulations from all your friends in St. John's, like, oh, you guys are so amazing. And I know, 16 seconds later, go, oh wait, that was the girl at the flower shop.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
came
but
from,
it was
came from-
nice. Yeah.
But it's that
Yeah.
note, it's holding something and reading it, and it does, it feels like somebody wrote it.
Well, and a lot of times they say, what would you like the note to say? So
Yeah.
when you call and book and order stuff, I always
Oh yeah, it's very
add
personal.
what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Might not
it
write
was
it,
great,
but-
it was great. If you're ever stuck on what to write in a note as a follow-up, super easy to just start with, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Looking forward to more chats in the future. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help in the meantime. Love, Philip. You should put that in all your notes. Philip Brown, Keller Williams portfolio.
I don't know who this man is, but he's very.
We do provide referrals for people.
Also, tidbit, like always write down when you send somebody a letter in your database so that you don't do it a second time right too
Yeah.
close to each other, because
Talking, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've started a spreadsheet about the notes that I'm sending.
Yeah,
And the date and the reason so that I don't.
repeat
You
yourself.
can probably just,
Yeah, and you know
Just
what?
say
To their
you can't
own,
scan
like-
it.
You know why that's such a great habit to get into now, when you're working on your own, is that everyone in this room will at some point have an administrator. Some people in the room will have teams. Those notes become how they pick up from your stuff and start doing their own. And if they've got this great setup, sent a card, chatted here, did whatever, now when they pick up the phone, they can pull up that name and go, okay. So when somebody says, thank you so much for the birthday card, they don't say, I'm sorry, what card? So leave detailed notes in your database. They will provide all kinds of really fun opportunities for doing really cool marketing later on. Okay, so we've got that down. So getting your head in the game for today's session, we're going to talk a lot today, whether you love lead generation or not. We're going to talk about why it's so important. So John Davis, our CEO, I love this line, success leaves clues. Everybody that has something successful in terms of business has built it around systems, and the systems are the clues. You can go back and you can follow them and recreate what happened there. So here's something to pat yourselves on the back for. Agents who take Ignite achieve 71% more contacts, 65% more calls, and 88% more previews. You're growing your market share and creating opportunities. So just in the next couple weeks as you go through this program, I want you to remember when you feel like it's either challenging or boring, or there's other stuff you'd rather be doing in the mornings, that a vast majority of your competitors out there are doing nothing between 9 and noon most days. So everything you're doing now is putting you ahead of the curve. So why lead generation? Why is it so important? If you go to page 13, for those of you who brought your course materials, why? Like, why do you keep hearing this, not only from us, but some of the big real estate coaches will talk about the value of lead generation. Why is it important in your business or in any business?
It's your conversion rate, right?
Because you need to meet people in order to have business.
the more people that know you're in real estate, the more.
It's a numbers game, you gotta be constantly meeting.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah,
Is that true of every business?
Yes.
yes.
If you want to be successful.
Yes.
Yeah, at what point does anybody get to say, you know what, we're pretty big, we're gonna shut down the sales department and we're gonna fire the VP of sales? It's critical. The funny part in this is that you are your CEO, you're also your VP of sales, you're the VP of marketing, you're the VP of human resources. You just don't always see that in yourselves. So if no one else is doing it for you, it's up to you. There were some kind of side chats earlier. One of the other critical things about lead generation, does anybody that has been in real estate or in a sales-based environment, does anybody recognize this? What is it?
Business.
Yeah, that's true. It's
That's
most
the
people's.
bipolar of the business.
It's most people's lives.
Unfortunately.
It's most people's
Peaks and
lives.
valleys.
And what's happening here that creates the upswing?
So lead generation, and they have lots of business, and then they get overwhelmed, and they go down.
Ah,
Then they stop lead
yes.
generating,
Yeah.
and they're like, uh-oh, I have no business, lead generate.
And what's happening between those lines? How good does it feel?
Not good.
Crap.
Yeah. Does anybody love when business is on the downswing? I mean, this is to me, when I got into real estate, having watched it from outside as the husband of a successful realtor, and looking at this stuff and just going, what are you guys doing as an industry? This is nuts. You guys are the only industry that goes, run, 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 run. I'm doing nothing. Oh, I gotta run again. Now I'm doing nothing because now I'm tired because I gotta, and the people who were able to sort of, keep things up here were really running 24 hours a day, and I was watching them absolutely burn themselves out because they weren't building in lead generation as an activity that happens all the time. So when I started getting into analyzing the businesses and looking at the KW models and saying, so why don't people read this red book and just do it across any business, not just real estate. So if you're not lead generating, if you don't believe right now that it's a big part of your business, that it's the first activity of every day, then you run into those valleys and peaks, and you're just creating a whole ton of stress for yourself. So if it's job one, really it's prospecting and looking at where things are moving towards. If your head understands that from the beginning, you're in a really good space. So we talk about leads, but really what we have the leads for is to move to appointments. So appointments, move to agreements, to contracts, to profit, which as the CEO of the business, you should be really concerned about. And as the CEO of the business, you should have monthly goals for what your profit is, because like most people, all your expenses and everything else happen on a monthly basis. So the number of people who walk in and say, you know what, I would love, my goal is $300,000, would like to make that. And then when we start to unpack that for them, and we say, so why is that important to you, but how are you getting there, and what does that look like quarterly and monthly, and what are you running expenses, and is that before taxes or after taxes, before expenses, after expenses, and there's just this lull. And it's usually the sound that your brain makes when it has no more answers. It just goes into stasis, and it starts to feel bad, instead of saying, so you know what, okay, I've got a whole bunch of stuff to learn as a business person. So going through the pipeline and building a prospecting-based business, again, it's the idea that you constantly have to have something coming in the funnel. Every time you get busy showing clients things and then starting to write contracts, that's somebody out of the funnel. Well, they need to be replaced. If you want to have regular business every month so that you can build a predictable revenue stream, you can start to fund the things you want in life, instead of waiting for the end of the year to see if there's any money left. This is the way to approach it. So, excuse me, I'm getting flabby. It's the coffee. So going to page 16, we're going to talk about the 4 C's of prospecting. Does that all make sense? So if you're capturing information, if you're connecting, if you're cultivating, and then working towards a close, that's going to be super important. Where in discussions, where does the disconnect typically happen? Everybody in here has a database. You've got people.
Cultivate?
Between the connect and cultivate?
Yeah.
And not connecting.
It's actually, so the connecting is where, a lot of the breakdown starts to happen. But it's being purposeful and cultivating,
Yeah.
and then asking for something. Right?
I'm not good at that.
We're still in that whole funny, ask for business, I feel like I'm taking advantage of our relationship.
Yes.
Now, if you reimagine that as, I want to give them an opportunity to help them, it totally changes things. So In terms of the capturing, you go to page 17.
Also, I feel like when you cultivate properly, like they'll want you, like they'll come to you. So if you cultivate and it's not like you don't seem desperate. They know who you are, they know what you do, and they feel
It's
comfortable
true,
because you've
it's
already
again,
cultivated.
me just convincing myself that I don't look like a cheesy salesperson.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the capturing, it really is just being intentional about adding names and adding details. And we talk a lot about adding as many details as we can, specifically so that down the road you can do targeted marketing. But if you're having challenges capturing, it leads to the easiest opening for chatting with people ever. And it's, I'm updating my information. You know what I don't have? I don't have your birthday. So can I get that? Because we like to do fun things with our clients who have birthdays. You know, whatever information is missing, it doesn't matter that it's not there. It now is a goal for you to go through your database and now have a totally legitimate reason to contact everybody in there. So if I'm nervous about just making calls, well, now I have an intentional piece to go at them with. The deeper you can get into that kind of data, the stuff that you can capture, it's hugely, hugely beneficial to you. So again, to go through the database and say, you know what, I don't know what your favorite sport is. And it's a fun conversation to have. You're not asking for business necessarily, but you're getting information. The more of that you have, going sort of 2 steps down the road when you're starting to automate some of your touch systems, if you knew everybody that was interested in baseball, would that give you an opportunity around the beginning of spring training for the Blue Jays to send out a targeted marketing piece to that segment of your database? If you knew the ages of their kids and you knew somebody that was finishing high school, if you're sitting around with some people brainstorming around what kind of fun marketing things you could do, what are the investing opportunities presenting themselves soon, what could you do knowing that you could grab everybody in your database whose kids are graduating high school at the end of next year? And what opportunity does that give you in marketing? What do kids do after high school?
They need a place to live in the university town.
Yeah.
Great opportunity.
Yeah. So if you've got the data in the database and all you have to do is remember every year in January, run the list of people graduating next year, because January this year is when they're doing their applications. So now I can do a fun targeted thing talking about the investment opportunities for families whose kids are about to go off to uni or college and maybe thinking about living on campus. And I can do a quick, here are the opportunities to buy a condo in London, Ontario, and it's steps to the university, and it's going to be cheaper than having the kids in. So whatever it is, whatever sort of data you can capture, the more thorough it is, certainly the better it is for the long-term opportunities. Connecting, again, you're going through the process of turning them from somebody that's just existing in your database to knowing more about them, to building a relationship. I want you to see me as the local expert. I want you to see me as somebody who's invested in the success financially of your family long-term. So how do I do those things? How do I build a relationship? I could come at it with what a lot of people do in our world as realtors. Has anybody ever seen a real estate ad that talks about the person who's the real estate agent? Never.
I'm not number one, you are.
Do we
I'll buy your place, but I can't sell it.
do we ever talk about awards?
No.
No, we do. We see it all the time. That becomes a here's me. If you want to build the relationship, you go through the who, what, where, when, why, right? And how. Who, what, where, when, Why and how? So those are the conversations you have when you're doing your updates. When you sit down and say, I'm going to work through my database, I'm going to call everybody in the A's the week of October 15th. I'm going to go through the B's. I'm just going to plan that out week by week. Those are some of the questions you ask. So you know, let's chat. So when you say you were thinking of doing this, when were you thinking? So if not now, I get that, you said not now, so when down the road? And why down the road? What's that doing? And how are you gonna approach that when you do make that decision? And now you draw notes in the database. So now I'm knowing something about them. I can also kind of twig to something that they may say or may not say. They may be leaving some stuff out. But I guarantee you, a lot of the people that are in their sort of circle marketing to them aren't trying to build that relationship. They're literally going to are you thinking now? No. Are you thinking now? No. Are you thinking now? And they're ending up in somebody's database, but they're never really being connected with.
Every time you get a hold of somebody, this is a good question for you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's what are the best relationships in all of our lives right now? Are they one way or are they reciprocal? And again, it's not about segmenting business and family and whatever else. All of the reciprocal ones are the ones that we value the most. So what are we doing to make this reciprocal? Yes, you're in my database and you do present business in the future, but you're also here right now, you're in person, and what can I be doing to help you right now? How do we have something that feels like a deeper relationship than others? You know, cultivating, again, it's really now moving them through the idea that they are going from somebody I don't know to somebody I have met to somebody that now we're talking about business and real estate and the opportunities there. I'm becoming somebody that's going to be important to you in that world. So sphere of influence, who would that be in your lives right now?
Family, friends.
Friends,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, people that you trust, people that trust you. How many are there? How many people are in your sphere of influence?
The guy that came in, and talked about how you reassess yourself every 5 years because you changed, your friends changed. That was a good thing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because the sphere of influence, when we're doing coaching with agents, often people sort of, they think of it as being here. So when I say, like, how many people would be in your sphere of influence? Maybe 50? That's in a high, low?
That's probably high for me.
Yeah.
It's high for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say like 20, like, that I trust and, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking really close.
Yeah.
Maybe that's conservative, I don't know, I'm just taking a guess.
Yeah, we're gonna run through something kind of fun to figure that out. But if you were to look at who, off the top of your head, pops to mind, and then you take a moment and do something intentional and open up your phone. You then start to go through and go, oh yeah, no, I totally, yeah, no, we have that, we haven't in a while, but we have, and then you go to Facebook and you start adding some of those people. Again, there's friends and then there's real friends, but you then go through and go, yeah, no, I would add them to that list. And suddenly it goes from 20 to whatever your number is. So that's actually what we're gonna do.
And previous clients could be also in your sphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody that would trust you with business, okay? So we're gonna start building that for you right now. So you're gonna take 10 minutes. You're going to go through,
Yeah.
and I want you to do it in this order. The people that you think off the top of your head. So do those ones first,
So,
then,
what are we doing? Sorry,
so
say
you're
again?
building your sphere of influence.
Okay.
So you're gonna go strictly from memory first, the people that like pop up, then you're gonna go to your phone. Then, if you brought your tablet, you're gonna go to Facebook or Instagram, wherever it is you play in social media, and add the names from there too, as quickly as you can. Okay, so you don't have to write their names down, just the numbers of people.
Oh,
Okay? Okay, so everybody had a chance to jot as many down as they thought they could? And you probably still have more you could be adding, right? So going from what you thought to the now adding in from the phone and social media, did anybody's list get bigger? Isn't that cool? So you think about where would I start lead generating for business? Obviously, your sphere of influence are the people that like you the most, trust you the most, certainly are going to be your biggest fans. So whether you're new in the business or you've been in it for a while and you want to kind of kickstart it, or you just want to keep the trajectory going that you're on, the people in your sphere are the people who are most likely out of the gate to say, I want you to succeed. So being new isn't really something that turns into a deficit because you're not new to them. Your job is different, but they've always liked you, they trust you. They know as long as you're confident that you're going to be good at anything you do, that you're going to put the same honesty and integrity into anything you do in any business you're in. It's really us, again, that get in the way of saying to that group, I would love your help right now. You know, I'm in the process of building or revamping, or I've moved it and changed focus, but here's where I'm going, what can you do to help me? And it's likely that a lot of those people have been dying for an opportunity to help you because it's likely that you've helped them at some point. And every good relationship has that reciprocity. So we don't often give people the chance to give back to us. There's a lot of people that find their way into a KW world, and part of what draws them there is that they're by nature giving people. And we stop and don't really think often enough that by giving, it's okay to give other people the opportunity to give back, right? And this is how they can. So if you go to page 22 in your materials, you're gonna see how you can take that sphere and break it down into different categories, and it also gives you some other interesting places to look for people. So you have things like volunteer groups and clubs, you have teachers, you have the people that you do business with at your car dealership, you have, like there's any number of different ways you can find different people and different categories you can put them in your database, different tags you can use, so that again, if you wanted to do targeted marketing down the road, you've got that ability. Because you put the time in when you put them into your database to give them as many categories as you can, so that you don't have to try to go back and do that later. So in terms of going from now I've collected the people to, what do I do? How do I get in touch with them? What are the things I need to do to build good lead generating habits? We talk about the 3x3. So on page 23, so the actions, before you even start your day, like everything good, it starts with a plan. So the three pieces you break your lead generating time into are preparation. And what would you need to prepare if you're going to sit down and do lead generating?
Your lists,
Yeah.
your affirmations,
Your goals.
whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Affirmations. Why is that important in
It
preparation?
is.
To get you in the
Just to
mindset.
feel like, get in the zone, like to be mentally in tune with talking to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, it is. As you know, you found as you sort of redo these old habits or pick them up for the first time. It's kind of energizing, but it can be frenetic energy, right? So you get to a point where you like, what did I say? Who did I say it to? What did they? Oh my God, was that one that said to call them back, or was it the other one? Because adrenaline hits your brain and all kinds of things are going on. So if you take the time ahead of picking up the phone or doing your door knocking or whatever your lead generating activity is, to set your mind right and say, you know what, it's gonna be fun, I'm going to attract business today, it's not gonna be fantastic at each and every opportunity, but I'm doing it. I'm gonna do it because I have to do it. So you get that preparation, and it makes going into something a little bit easier if you put a plan in place. Then it's taking action, right? So it's doing prospecting, and then updating your system. What happens if you miss that second piece?
You don't have the contact.
Yeah, you prospect, you've got the contact, they're there, but you don't do any updating. What's likely to happen?
No connection.
Yeah.
Capturing.
Has anybody ever found themselves weak at follow-up?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever forgotten to call someone back?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, we live super busy lives. And if we don't build the reflex, if I don't stretch before I work out, 53, I'm gonna break something. So I have to learn to do that ahead of every workout. If I'm calling people or knocking on doors and I'm not taking a note, take 10 seconds, here's a note. After 2 hours of doing it, try to go back using your memory and remember everything you're supposed to do. It's really, really hard. So if you're prospecting and updating your database, you're good. Part 3 of that 3 and 3 is maintaining things. So I'm tracking my results, I'm scheduling future commitments, and I'm writing my thank you notes. Super, super critical, tracking results. Why is that something that realtors don't do? I'm still waiting for someone to say, you know what, here's why. I don't get it. We're the only industry that doesn't track results. At the same time, we are the first industry to tell people how things work. I was reading a blog yesterday that repeats a statistic that I find hysterical, because I'm a numbers guy, and if numbers don't make sense, they don't make sense. So there's a statistic that gets repeated over and over and over again in real estate, and you've probably heard it. How many people leave the business within their first 2 years? Has anybody heard that statistic? It gets
Pretty
printed
high.
all over.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, 50%.
Is it
50%.
Only 50?
50% is
higher
what
than
it's
that, that's why I asked.
I remember real estate school.
You're
guys
still
said,
here,
You're
Karen.
from Bell, you guys.
Yeah, 50% of all new agents leave within 2 years. Now, if that were true, would the numbers on the Toronto Real Estate Board go up or down?
They could-
Yeah.
The numbers of,
Agents, numbers of members,
yeah, well, there's still so many people coming.
Yeah, but
in.
some
Well, I
people
think
keep the
that's
license on their
inflated.
website.
but they're
Isn't that
new.
not a
It's
believable
different.
number? Is that a true number?
No.
50%? Of course not.
So
It can't
again,
be.
Made up.
It can't be, because then there'd be 100,000 people going through
And
the
how many-
system
how many
yearly
people
if
do
there's
it part-time?
60,000. Well, yeah,
It's
that
hard
number
to
it's hard
license.
to, yeah,
Anybody
There's
who
a lot of
actually
people who are
works
licensed
full-time is
that
in the
can't.
1%.
that's correct.
Anybody who actually works,
Yeah.
even though,
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Beating everything
So
else.
I'm gonna give you real quick look at when people throw numbers around, how to critically think about that. So every 2 years, right? So we know from 2014 TREB numbers, we had about 35,000. We know that we add about 5,000 members to the Toronto Real Estate Board every year. How do we know that? Because the Toronto Real Estate Board tracks that number and they publish it. You know what they don't publish? How many people leave.
Right.
So OREA would then be the repository for the number of people who come, the number of people go. You know what they don't track? The number of people who leave. Where did this number come from? So you start to walk down that road and say, well, I don't know, but let's, so somebody said it once at a conference and everybody went, well, that makes sense. So here's the part of my brain and numbers, it's frustrating for me because sometimes I get obsessed. So 5,000 agents per year joining. Now, if 50% of those new, we're not talking about the ones that existed, the ones that existed, they're there, they're gonna leave on their own. What we're told is 50% of new agents leave within 2 years. So there were 5,000 new agents, would we agree?
Yeah.
So between 2015, 2017, 2,500 left.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Between 2015, 2016, how many new agents did we have?
Five.
So between here and here, 2,500 left. We've already accounted for the people who didn't, right? We're only talking about new agents. So how is it that nowhere in here do we lose 5,000 agents? We only add 5,000 a year. We've lost 5,000 over 4 years. How is it that this isn't 50? And that this isn't 45?
Because we're actually.
The answer is that nobody knows what the number is.
Right.
How many agents hang their license
No
and stop
idea.
practicing?
Yeah.
How many agents stop practicing for a while but then come back? Because when they got into the business, it's because Uncle Sal builds houses. And I'm gonna sell the 2 he did last year, and I'm gonna sell the 2 he does in 5 years. And we're saving money as a family.
Aria might be a better number to use.
Well, do they have the numbers? Do they even
Like,
track
whoever
that?
stops paying for the insurance,
Yeah.
can't they track that?
Yeah,
How many people
Aria,
stop
yeah,
paying?
Aria or Rico, yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. But how many people pay their insurance? Because if I'm gonna be making $40,000 every 2 years selling Uncle
Keep
Sal's
their license.
house,
Yeah, of course, there's
Yeah.
tons of that. I would say
costs
that's
me
most of
$1,500
the
bucks a year to
industry.
keep my license.
Yeah,
And that was you.
That's good money.
yeah,
Anyway, so the fun part about this is we don't know.
except for
We
the
just,
Sal.
we
I
make
don't have
stuff
the
up.
Uncle Sal.
So in terms of looking at
You did it.
what the results mean, tracking results, why that's important, is that you want to be running your business with data, with real data. So when it comes time to you saying to someone, so someone listening to the interview says, I'm just curious, how many of your previous clients are still clients? Because one of the things everybody likes to brag about is, I have over 90% return business. I don't go out and look for business. I'm only referral based.
Wow,
You go, that's awesome. A, how does that help them? I still don't know.
right.
But when you get asked that question, you're either going to go, no, or you're gonna make something up, unless you know your numbers. And there's nothing wrong with knowing your numbers and saying, so 2017, about 25% of my business was repeat and referral. And the other 75% came from building new clients through being out and meeting people, the listings that I had, buyers that came through that. And that's how our business model works. And here's why I think that's helpful to you. Because if I'm listing your home and I'm still actively out and engaging with new people, I'm meeting potential new buyers. Now, someone that's waiting for someone to call them because they're 90% referral based isn't going to actively target your home the way we would. Which would you rather have, Mr. Buyer or Seller? So your numbers help you tell whatever story it is, but you've got to know what your stuff is. So if I'm going back to lead generating, and I've said my business plan for 2019 was to do 70 transactions, 35 selling, 35 buying, and I know I have to hit X number of phone calls per week to get the number of meetings per month, to get the listings per month, and how do I know if I'm doing that successfully if I'm not tracking it? So it's great to have, I'm gonna do 10 a day, but if on Friday I don't look at a piece of paper on my desk and say, are there 50? Then I don't know if I'm really hitting my numbers. And how do I, as a business owner, help figure out where my business can grow, where the biggest opportunities are in terms of education and training for me to hit those numbers if I don't know what my numbers are. So track your calls, track the successes, track the follow-ups that you're supposed to be doing so that you can actually say to yourself at the end of a week, at the end of a month, you know what, I'm actually doing a lot. I don't think I am, and sometimes I'm feeling kind of crappy about the results, but if I look at my numbers, they're pretty good. So where am I missing something? Is it in converting them? Is it in building a deep enough relationship that I'm not touching base with them a month from now and finding out they bought or sold with somebody else? If I've got numbers, I can plan my business and really look at it. Okay, let's talk about cold calling. And we're gonna go to the video for that because, I can talk about cold calling, but I don't do it, so better to go to the experts. Has anybody met the Provencher brothers? So sometimes our videos are KW agents in Louisiana. And it's cool, and everybody goes, yeah, that's Louisiana. So Dylan and Sean Provencher work out of the KW Advantage office in the beach. One of the two of them
Wind at my back.
was a child star on the CBC series The Wind at My Back. And I'll leave that up to you to decide which of the two it is. But it's very funny. So their lead generating is really based around cold calling. They've had great success with it. It works for them. Lead generation that works for you is the best lead generating to do. If you're super comfortable in one area, you've trained in another, and it's just not your thing, then go back to what you're great at. Try to learn different things. Don't just stay in a comfort zone just because you say, I don't want to do it. But try both and see what works. And let's see what Dylan and Sean have to.
Cool. So I'll say where we're from, and then you give production levels. All right. Hi, my name is Dylan Provencher.
I'm Sean Provencher.
We're from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're the Real Estate Brothers.
2014, we wrote 72 transactions for $47 million.
Sean and I are very lucky because we're actually fairly entrepreneurial in sales. So we were able to just sort of survive by luck and by just sort of being likable and nice.
We had a decent business that wasn't growing.
We did a lot of door knocking originally, but what we found was with bad weather, plus you have to drive to door knock, it was just too much of a wild card.
If we were to grow the business, we needed to add people to our database, and if we were going to do that, we needed a systematic way that we knew we could achieve results that were predictable. So we just kind of started cold calling.
About 3 hours a day, and we found that the results were phenomenal.
Come take a look where we've been this whole time.
We can literally do it from your kitchen.
It's just more time effective.
Yeah.
If you're cheap like we are, you don't want to spend a ton of money on the web or on print, telephone lines, you can pay a monthly bill and you can call all you want. Why don't you come in here and show you the cold calling? We've got a map where we've broken the entire city into zones. We like to target areas where we have buyers.
It's been scrubbed with the do not call list, and it still represents over 250,000 phone numbers.
All of our desks have 3 monitors. We have Mojo in the middle, we have our scripts on the right, and then on the left,
Do some research on the house they're calling for, stuff like that. Cold calling is like adding jet fuel to your car or something. Like it pumps your business up.
We went from making,
What was our first year, like 70K? And then this year together we did $1.1 million, so. This is Sean calling from the Real Estate Brothers. You know what, I'm so sorry about you today, but I just noticed that you have to treat cold calling as though it's an appointment. If you don't prioritize it, things will always find their way in and block you from being able to do it. It's the most important thing you can do for your business.
absolutely most important, and you have to quantify it as well. The bold 100 contacts a week is a really, really cool way
To set a bar.
to set a bar and get started and stick to it, whatever your decision is.
I was just wondering, has anything changed in your plans? Are you still thinking this is great to get it on the market?
You can't think today was a bad cold calling day, because today doesn't matter. What matters is what you accomplish in a year. And if you just keep adding people to your database and systematically follow up with them and take care of the people who you work for, you'll do great.
You're not always going to have great success every day, but it's by doing it every day that you have great success.
We're going to be in the neighborhood for the next 2 weeks giving free evaluations. You know what I'd love to do?
I'll say too that one thing that we were afraid of, and I think everyone is just the rejection side of things. People being mean to you on the phone and rude. We have this saying with our team that you're either part of our future or part of our past, and either way it's fine. The people who are rude to us are obviously not going to be part of our future.
Have a chuckle about it. Like, honestly, when someone cusses at me or something, I just laugh because it's funny.
And do you think that it would make sense for us to flip something tentatively for the weekend?
The more time you spend not on the phone, you're losing money, because that 3 hours of my day is my 20% where I make my money.
Don't get ready to start thinking about how you're going to eventually do something. Just do it. Like,
Just do
get
it.
done.
Stop watching this video, get off the phone, go start dialing numbers and talking to people. Just get on the phone.
Yeah, and if you hate money, don't do it.
if you ever get a chance, so they run a Facebook group called Front Seat Real Estate. So look them up on Facebook, join the group. They actually host some live training things, some masterminding opportunities. They're a lot of fun. They you know, like a lot of people, they find something that works and then they'll stick to it. A family reunion, sitting around tables eating. Dylan and I have got into some really fun arguments about whether door knocking or cold calling is the ultimate way to build things. And really, I'm of a, listen, you do what works best, but add as many tools to your toolbox as you can. And don't become so dogmatic that you knock somebody else's. If it works for them, fantastic, it works for them. And you'll find the stuff that works for you. Any ahas in there at all?
Just do it.
Just the way they were sort of like adding people, follow up, maintain it, cultivate it. Which sounds so simple.
They're growing
But
from
no,
that
it
one
is
year.
simple, it's just not easy. It is simple, you just have to do it.
Yeah, he said something that I always chuckled because it's just so true. You're not going to have successes daily, but by doing things daily, you have the success. And it's really just about making sure that you do that every day. The Finding More Leads video, I'm just going to pass over because I don't want to spend 20 minutes looking for a video again. But going down to page 24. So looking at again, the splitting your lead generating up into three areas, the preparation, getting your prep organized is really where some of the fun stuff happens. So you get to say, you know what, I think next month, I haven't really talked a lot to people I did deals with in the past 2 years. So I'm gonna pull those numbers and I'm gonna call, and now I get to start with, hey, how have you been? Still loving the house? How's the neighborhood? It writes itself. But you can segment your database in any way you want to kind of move through things. In terms of prospecting opportunities, again, instead of watching video, I just wanted to talk about where you think new leads can come from. There's a little bit of a hint there. But if you're looking at your phones and you're trying to figure out, okay, there's these people, but how am I going to be adding people to this? If I have to feed the database constantly, and I don't know, like what am I supposed to do to talk to somebody in the lineup at Riz when I'm paying? What do I? There really are. There are a lot of different opportunities to be prospecting in our everyday lives, and we just don't always take that opportunity. So I want to spend a couple of minutes and just jot down as many as you can think of. So where could you be prospecting if you were purposeful about connecting with people around future business?
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, social media, for
okay,
sure.
sorry, social media.
What do you think about LinkedIn in particular for you makes sense?
Well, there's a lot, so on my LinkedIn, there's a lot of other agents, so it's always good to reconnect with them, and then you can see what they're doing, like what their business interests are, so that's a good way to connect. Is that what you mean? I'm not entirely sure.
Well, no, I want to know
Yeah.
from you where you think the opportunity with LinkedIn is.
Well, I think to getting more real estate, like to getting,
Yeah.
I think it's just a good way to connect with people because I know like if they've changed jobs, you're always being notified. I am anyway, as we all are. I wasn't a big LinkedIn person But now I'm starting to try and, you know, ramp it up and connect with more people. Because I think if not them, then maybe somebody they know. And while they know a lot of people, my connection with some of them is different than other
Right.
people.
Right, so again, you've got that connectivity.
And LinkedIn gives you an easy way, like, thanks for connecting with me. Like, they sort of start the conversation,
Yeah.
people reach out to me. Everybody's trying to get business from each other, really, is what I find. Like, everybody's like-minded. It's a good, it's not like Facebook where it's a little bit more social, or Instagram, which is getting more businessy. Like, I get a
It
lot of
is,
business
yeah.
stuff now. And that's another thing I wanted to try and do, is ramp up my Instagram. Facebook, I don't know, because I don't know if I should start another page, but, so that, for sure, there's lots of opportunities that I don't take advantage of on social media that I would like to.
If you're using LinkedIn, do you have did you pay extra to get the?
I haven't done premium, I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I'm like, do I need to
Because,
see who's, maybe
what's
it's
the
something
big-
I would
Who's the
do.
big tailor in Toronto, sells all the men's clothes?
Tom's Place?
No.
The big
Harry Rosen.
tailor.
Harry Rosen.
Oh,
He used to see in the business section of the Globe and Mail,
Yes.
who got promoted,
right.
and he writes them a letter.
Ah, see,
Yeah.
It
yeah,
doesn't exist
That's how-
anymore though.
Yeah, but on LinkedIn, you see who's got a job.
On LinkedIn,
Yeah.
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
He's got more money.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean, like,
And
you
if a friend
have to
yours,
be,
you
like,
can-
that's what I'm
Then
finding
you
hard,
need
is
to
like
change.
creative ways to now meet new people, or people that I sort of know, but reach out to them.
Yeah, I had a tailor approach me on LinkedIn, or via LinkedIn. It was done very, very cleverly. And I love seeing people do really creative things.
Right.
So, does custom suits, called me and he said, so, we've never met, Mark Loeffler at KW Hamilton said that you guys are friends. We've just done some suits for him. We would love to talk to you about what we do for our clients and why we think you being able to shop for a suit in your house is a big advantage to you time-wise. Because we know how important time is to a real estate agent. Like, okay, okay, come to my house, Mark Loeffler, I'm gonna send you a note later. But it was effective and went through the whole sales thing and actually did end up ordering some stuff because it was good quality stuff, it was fun. And before I left, he said, so he pulled out this piece of paper, and he said, on your LinkedIn profile, there are these 25 people. Which 5 do you think would be the best ones for me to call? He didn't say, should I
Wow,
call
right.
or whatever.
Just-
Wow.
Which 5 are the best? And I went,
Oh.
okay, so you know who I want to bug right here.
Right.
So call James
Wow.
Benson. Call, right, like it's now sort of, oh, Mark did this to me, now I get to turn it on. But at the same time, I'm picking people that I know like men's suits.
Yeah.
It was so clever that you then sort of take it back in and go, okay, how do I apply this to real estate?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm talking to somebody and I say, would love to have you add me as a connection on LinkedIn so that I can help you and you help me promote you, and we'll do that. And now I have access to all their connections. And I can now, rather than flooding them all with a ridiculous, hey, I got your name from whatever, I can actually pull those names and look them up and do a little bit of the kind of research that David was talking about. So that, oh, they're there, and then they're there. And now, when I do the connection, I can say, I saw that you just changed jobs from whatever. We have a mutual connection on LinkedIn here. Wondering if, now that you're moving to St. Catharines, if it would be helpful for you to have me refer you to a St. Catharines Keller Williams agent because they're local experts. So A, I'm coming again from contribution. B, from a business side, is there any advantage to me to do that? Yeah. I can spend 8 minutes in real time emailing back and forth, maybe 10 minutes on the phone, and I might get a 25% referral fee for the next purchase they do there. Certainly worth investing. So social media is one for sure, and we're gonna see more of it. However, I'm going to caution you that there are a lot of people who believe that in terms of where I sort of weight my time and energy, social media is better than personal better than phone, better than door knocking. And in any study we've done, in any study NAR has done, it's the opposite. When people are asked, 2017, you talk about millions and millions of transactions through NAR, people were asked, where did you find your realtor? The number one answer was referrals, friends and referrals. Not, I used my last agent, which absolutely drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So NAR, when they do these charts, and you get to see them every year at Family Reunion because NAR loves bringing that data to 170,000 agents. But what they end up doing, the second question is, would you have used the agent that last represented you? 70% of them say yes. So why didn't they?
We didn't keep in
The
touch.
agent didn't keep in touch.
Didn't keep in touch. Didn't do the lead generating, didn't do the nurturing, didn't cultivate them. Because they were a deal, not a person, not a relationship. And the deal was over and I'm moving on. And that to me is so, so sad. Social media is always the very last thing on the list. Social media is a fun thing. It's a good way to keep in touch with people. It's a good way to find new people. If you have the most expensive array of social media sites and SEO stuff and everything else, it will not increase the number of people buying or selling houses in a year. It's the same people buying and selling. And if you meet me first and you love me, doesn't matter how many fantastic websites you go visit. You're
So
still doing your deal through me.
You don't do any SEO on your website?
We don't, no. No, because again, we're numbers people and we track, and we did not see in the course of the time where we spent the money to have our stuff appear higher on lists and whatever, and we did all our follow-up and everything else, it wasn't getting us anywhere near the number of new potential clients
Right.
as 3 hours door knocking.
Right.
And again, that's us. There are areas where social media is a fantastic tool. If you're in a more rural area, if you're isolated, the KW office in Alaska, I think something like 85% of their leads come in through really well done SEO enabled social media.
And Lindsay,
But it's because nobody wants to walk outside.
and Lindsay and Scott.
I can't blame them.
Lindsay and Scott have a
Yeah, they do.
very good, yeah. And there are people that again, if you've got a toolbox, so you put the tools you use the most and that you're most successful in. If you have the opportunity to add one that doesn't take your focus off of everything else, go ahead and add it. So you're looking for an administrator, and again, they're like super awesome with Instagram, and they love to build websites, fantastic. You go do it. We'll talk about how it's gonna get done. We'll talk about what the goals are. We're gonna track the goals. I have my 20% of things that create 80% of the return, and it's not doing that. So bring in somebody, right? You know, like that kind of leverage where you say, look, you're gonna add to my toolbox without me having to now stop using the tools I'm good at. So yeah, super good. Yes, so getting into prospecting sources, so we've got social media, we've got, you know, either door knocking or cold calling.
Open houses.
Open houses are huge. Is there a reason why you hear a lot, if you read the Red Book or you spend any time around Keller Williams training things, is there any reason why you hear you really need to focus on listings?
Never knew
Yeah.
why.
So you can get in
You've
front
been
of
running
people.
around with buyers for
You don't get any exposure with buyers, but with listings you do.
Yeah.
But that's always been the way.
Yeah,
Especially Toronto's like the perfect.
Listings, you gotta need listings to last.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because listings is always sort of always guaranteed money.
Open houses, well, that's it. In regular Toronto markets, and there's always exceptions, will every house priced well sell?
Yes.
Yes, in Toronto, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our backed up inventory is certainly, it's growing a little bit, which is kind of nice.
But it's still it's out.
But we're 60 days of inventory,
Yeah.
maybe. Open houses, did they bring in buyers?
And
Does every buyer walk around homeless?
No.
Or do they have homes to sell? Well, people forget. When people say, I don't work with buyers, I kind of smile because you're saying they don't own a home. If I'm buying, I might, pretty good chance, in fact. So yeah, by finding the listings, you know that business is going to continue and it's going to draw another business. If I'm saying to myself, I'm scared of trying to get a listing, so I'm just gonna focus on buyers, do they come to me?
No,
No.
you guys can find it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
How does a buyer know that I exist? You've got to go out and find them. So yeah, it is something, open houses. Now for new agents, going back to when you were a new agent, Heidi and David, a long time ago, when you guys were new, did anybody ever like having you cover their open houses?
Sure.
Yeah. You don't have to go get a listing to work an open house. You just have to say to people, I would love to cover it for you. And certainly already here, I mean, we're a small group, and we've already got people covering each other's open houses. Part of it's leverage, because I might have stuff to do that weekend. Others is just, it's a good opportunity for people. So great opportunity for prospecting. Agent referrals, again, if you're building a good database of other agents and you're their Toronto connection, then there are things that happen from a prospecting point of view that you don't have to be super active in. It just means you connect with those agents and you treat them like anybody else in your database. Connect, see where you can reciprocally work with each other, and you become that calling person. Other referral sources outside of agents. Are there groups that you know that work with buyers and sellers? If it's not an agent referral, who could it be?
Lawyers,
Right.
bankers,
State lawyers. Mortgage brokers, home inspectors. So,
anybody.
yeah, so building allied groups of people that, again, it's reciprocal. So I'm gonna help promote your business. I would love it if you would help promote mine. And it doesn't take that long to find those people. They're probably all over the place already. Dry cleaners, doctors, anybody that's there that sees a lot of people come in. RBC for the last 2 years has been running rampant, trying to get back into the residential mortgage business. Because quite frankly, by their own admission, they took their eye off that ball. It wasn't a good use of their time and energy and money. Well now, as interest rates are going up, and everybody else that's been fantastic in mortgages is seeing the return on that investment, RBC is now kind of trying to get back in. So all of the branches have been running programs where they're begging realtors to come in and do any kind of, again, an allied resource relationship. So they'll let you put cards up, they'll let you put listings up beside the ATMs. They will sponsor and promote to their entire group of people any seminar that you want to do out of the branch. So if you want to work with first-time buyers, if you want to do an investing in condos seminar, if you want to do whatever, they're now going to send that out to 1 billion of their clients because they want to be seen as a place to come get mortgages. So if you can get them marketing on your behalf and prospecting on your behalf, so much the better. For sale by owners, it's there. It's still an opportunity. It's a much softer, longer prospect, but it doesn't hurt.
How do you get for sale by owners?
How do you get them, or how do you?
Well, how do you even know who they are, other than the sign on the?
That's how you find out.
That's it, you're driving around?
Yeah,
stop,
so I'm
get the
just
number, call.
driving around looking for these little
Wait,
signs.
there's not that many anymore in Toronto.
No, I don't
It
think
is
so either.
shrinking. It is shrinking.
Yeah.
Because it's Alfred.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was prevalent, because I don't see it.
What about expired listings?
Oh.
Okay, well, let's have a quick chat about expired
Or
listings.
listings that have been on the market
Yes.
I live in Midtown, I love Hillsdale.
and they then get relisted with the same agent. There's a specific agent around that has a listing, it doesn't sell quickly, and then she relists it. Sometimes with the same, and it just goes on and on. How do you target those people and say, I can do a way better job? You can't.
Yeah, ideas?
You never know the situation.
Right.
For what you're saying of people that are relisted, like in Toronto especially, everything was sold at a price. So
Well,
if
yeah.
it was 9
It's
days and
usually-
it's sold, then there's a problem either price or there's a problem with the seller.
That's right,
Showing the property,
yeah,
there's something wrong.
yes.
If it's expired and whatever, however you got the listing, whether it was referred to you, or they called you, or you door knocked and were able to make a presentation, you gotta find out why it didn't sell. And take it from there. It'll sell.
But what if it has just been marketed badly?
Well, the MLS system is.
Well, how would you know if it's been
Price.
marketed badly? What do you mean?
Well, like maybe the price is too high.
Well, the
or
price
Yeah,
is,
price,
yes,
yeah.
the price.
Yeah.
But that could be the seller, right?
Yeah.
Usually if it's not selling.
Yeah.
and
But then maybe
Then
the
you're
listing,
dealing
the
with
agent
enough
didn't
buyers.
approach it properly to get the price reduction.
To be
Because
nice.
sometimes you see them, and it's happened to me before, I did everything to get them to reduce the price, and then they list with somebody else, the price is
Yeah.
lower. The price you told them to be at.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it's a tough one because you do have to make sure that you are working within the rules, right, and the
Yeah,
laws.
that's, yeah.
So, you know, in some cases, if you see something that's recurring, one of the anticipatory pieces in that is, I'll bet you everybody is coming at them.
Right.
And there are going to be people that do it ethically and then people that don't. So what's that homeowner's perspective now of the profession? So if you do something that's targeting the area or the street, and you're talking about your professional services, and one of the things that we saw used really, really successfully in Burlington by one of the KW teams out there was the opportunity for a second opinion. So it was actually, I thought it was very clever marketing from the beginning. The billboards they put up were not number one, we should be your number two. Call us for a second opinion. And here's why that becomes an interesting tactic. If someone calls you that's under contract, can you talk to them?
Yes.
David's always fast. Yes, absolutely. You can't
I
solicit.
didn't know that, because I said, well, I can't talk to you till.
You can't
till you're
solicit.
dead.
But
You
if they-
can absolutely
Right.
engage.
Yeah.
If they contact
Yeah.
you and say, I don't know why my house isn't selling. Can you come talk to me about it? You can say, I can absolutely come and talk to you about it. Here's what I can't do. I cannot disparage another registrant. I'm not going to ask you to leave that relationship. There's a problem with the relationship, I encourage you to reach out to them and solve that problem. But I can absolutely tell you what I would do to market a home. And if after that discussion, they say, I need your advice, come over, you can have that meeting, you can even go as far as signing a listing agreement. Now, that listing agreement can't start until the one that exists expires. But you can go in, you can sign a
Or
listing
terminates.
agreement.
Yeah.
So if they're listed till November 15th, you can go in, you can chat, they can say, listen, I love you. Could you please sell my house? You can say, I can sign an agreement that starts November 16th. I can't do anything ahead of that. You have the right, and again, this is where you get sort of broader, I can explain to you RICO rules. So you have the right, as someone who's unsatisfied, to approach that agent and that brokerage, and you can ask to be released. They're under no obligation to release you from that contract, just so we're clear. But explaining to you what you have the right to do. Now, if you get a cancellation ahead of November 16th, then we can change the dates and we can move stuff up.
So if the house was shown by that, if a potential buyer saw the house under the contract with the previous listing agent, and they come back to you, because
Well, there's a holdover.
those
Yeah.
questions were killer, because I just.
Were they killer? Yeah.
There were 3 questions out of
Yeah.
50 question exam on this stuff, exactly this
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
It was like,
No, that's a great,
it was like
that's a
this
great
whole
question.
thing, and they come back, and
Pardon me?
it's like this whole,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go into it, but I'm just saying. that-
No, I get
Wait,
it.
so
So,
I have my question, so like,
Yeah.
even after, so it's expired, there's still a holdover period.
There's a whole,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but unless
what do you do about that?
the new listing takes precedent.
Oh, you're right, yeah, sorry, you're right.
yes
But
and-
if the-
yes and
it
no.
depends.
Yes and
There's-
no.
If you were paying to the selling broker less on the new listing,
Yeah.
There we go.
There's a difference.
the first showing,
That's
you
another
get it from the
question.
buyer.
Repeat.
Okay,
So that's.
I'll bring the
say you
chapter
listed
in
it
for
to,
you guys.
you have to pay the selling broker 2.5,
Yeah,
and then it expires, and I take it, and I'm only paying the selling broker 2%.
Cause you're under.
And then she showed it while you had it listed, and that buyer buys it, he's gotta, she'd do 2.5 from, 2 from me and 1/2 from the seller.
Yeah, but even if that buyer was a new buyer too, right?
No, new
And
buyers.
it's still-
The new buyers are yours.
So-
Even
Yeah,
if it's on
only
the
if
holdover
it's-
period?
Yeah,
New
so,
buyer
That's why I said you don't.
New buyers don't hold over,
it.
he
Yeah.
never saw
it's a
it, the
lot.
holdover.
Because holdover just completely is,
Well,
that's
he
right.
never saw it. He never saw it
So I'll
first.
give you the simplest explanation that I can.
This is fun.
If there is a holdover in effect, it only counts towards the difference between the original listing commission and the new one. That's it, that's all that listing agent would be entitled to. So that listing agent had it for 60 days, and Heidi came to see it, and Heidi decided not to put an offer in, or she did, the offer didn't go through. Now, the listing's been lost, I pick it up, and Heidi comes through again, but I've taken the listing at 2% to me instead of 2.5. The original listing agent, in theory, once they find out that Heidi and her buyer's agent have now successfully bought the house, can come back at the seller and say, I'm owed 0.5% of the purchase price because that person was introduced to the home while I had the listing. And you took a second listing at less commissions.
But he would
What
never know,
happens
he would
if
never
they're-
know.
no,
they're
I
the
was gonna
same,
say, how
they get
often has
nothing.
anybody ever had that happen?
He would
Like,
never know, he would never know what the listing
Yeah.
portion.
Yeah.
It would
selling
have to
portion
be, it would have
is
to be
different.
such a tightly knit
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
everybody
I
would
just
have
don't
to know.
find, I put
Yeah,
it in and
because
I sign it,
Heidi
but I never.
is now the listing agent, the first listing agent, has the first listing agent shown Heidi the property or as a cooperative?
No,
No, but Heidi
Is it-
saw it while that listing was
Oh, right,
active.
right, okay.
But if we've signed at the same commission, holdover means nothing.
But the listing broker would never know that's
Yeah.
your scenario.
that's what
But
it,
the
it's
buyer,
just
but the buyer.
I will leave you in Philip's capable hands, because you guys didn't even really need me here tonight.
Thank you.
But it was nice to see everybody, so I'll see you Friday, and is anybody coming to First Step to Bowl tomorrow? Does anybody want to?
God willing, I'll be there.
You're going back to Bold?
Oh, just for the
Oh, we
first
didn't
one.
go. Just
You
for
should
the,
go.
just
No,
for the
first
free
day.
one, so
First
maybe
day.
just do
Go.
a little reminder.
Because
It's
it's
good
free.
meet and greet.
Yeah, it is
Yeah, it's
free.
free and you actually do get some good lead generating tips and techniques.
Where is
Who's
it at,
doing
the
it
same
anyway?
place?
No,
No.
it's at
Bayview.
Bayview and Steeles.
Who's doing it?
Bayview Country Club.
I'm sorry?
Who's the trainer?
I don't know.
It's not Katie.
No,
It's
Kate,
not
right now
Kate.
Kate's out in Fredericton.
Yeah, nobody's told us
Yeah.
who the trainer is,
Oh,
so
no.
we're all eagerly.
It'll be somebody.
Dalton Country Club?
Bayview's Country Club.
Yes, the Bayview Country Club,
Yes.
8:30 in the morning
It's the end of Leslie Street.
until 4,
8:30.
and you'll come away with at least 2 things you could add to your business the next day. And you get it
so
for free.
should we go? Would you recommend it? Like,
We
I,
would
Have you been
recommend it.
before?
no,
Have you been before?
no,
Go. If you got time, go.
Yeah,
It's nice.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think,
I'm
you think,
so
you think
bold,
this
but I
guy
missed the
pumped, you think this
first
guy
one.
pumps you
So,
up, they'll,
you know-
they'll be double.
because I know I'm not gonna do Bold right now, because I'm
Yeah.
doing this.
Right.
and-
So go
Yes,
for
yeah.
I'll
for
send
the free one.
everybody all
A
about
A
it.
renewal, send a renewal, that's
Okay.
reminded, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
you.
okay, so let's get back to
Maybe you
this.
only go for half a day or something.
As
Right,
the prospecting side of things, you've got door knocking, calling, in the geographical area, you've got referrals, you've got social media, and you've got FISBOs. So let's talk about social media for a second, because it's kind of a fun activity. Social media, best way to deal with things on that is to be the local expert in something. See you. So, I'm gonna make you the local experts
Oh, no.
instantly with a couple numbers. And what you're going to do is pick any social media platform that you like, and we're gonna take a minute to talk about some numbers, and then you get to post something on social media and just see what happens. Now, from a prospecting point of view, what is the most useful point of social media? How many people have had on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, your own personal website, your blog, how many people have had somebody that have emailed you and said, I love your stuff, I want to do business with you?
I know.
Well, I have a lot.
One, two, possibly?
People like the stuff that I put out.
Ah, right, that's where the prospecting magic comes from. Not in people making the jump to you,
Yeah, they
but
just-
somehow getting into a conversation with you. And on social media, conversations are likes and pokes and smiley faces and whatever else. So if you take those, so if you're posting something of interest in a real estate world and people are then interacting with you, it's your opportunity to have a dialogue. Dialogue, I think, this is me being an old man, is best done privately, rather than on their page or on your page and getting into it. Go to the private message thing and say, hey, here's your opportunity for a thank you card, right? Hey, thank you so much for the like on that thing. Out of curiosity, what are your opinions on it? Right? Now we're starting a dialogue, and it's related directly to something I posted about real estate. What are the chances I can then either put that person in my database and say, hey, would you like updates about that particular issue? Or would you, are you interested in just knowing what homes are selling for in your neighborhood, or whatever? I can now take online, offline, and create a dialogue. So, by posting fun things, you get to get some of those reactions. So, Treb, year-over-year summary.
Is this for like a certain month?
This is year-to-date.
To like today's date?
Oh, so you did the same for 2007?
I pulled this last night.
Okay.
So
Only
you know
6,000
how-
sales this year?
No, sorry. So if you look at the percentage of this is year-over-year,
For
September, the month of September.
So a month.
Yes. So anything on here from a number point of view, anything that could become an interesting conversation starter.
So I've been taking this little picture
Yeah,
and posting it on
yeah,
my business page.
yes,
And I meant to do it yesterday,
yeah,
but I was thinking too deeply about what my little opening line was going to be.
yeah,
I guess I could just say, hey,
yeah.
did you know the average price for the GDA has gone up by 2.9%
Yeah.
in the last year?
Well, year-over-year.
Year-over-year. Okay.
So is anybody in the world outside of realtors, is anybody hearing anything about the value of homes? Home prices going up or down? As far as the media
Up.
are concerned and what you're hearing from
Every day is
clients?
different.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying.
Depends where you are.
Lots of confusion out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you can
there's
start,
lots
lots of confusion.
No, I was just gonna say that I feel like where our value added is not always dictating like, you could just post this and they like, people are, relatively smart, they can see that, they understand what it says. I think where our value added is interpreting, okay, like what this means and like filtering, okay, yes, we understand that this is what you hear in the media, but like, you know, I've been in the business, like this is whatever. And like, you know, the fact of, to me, like new listings is super interesting that we're a shortage of listings and that obviously changes the buyer's experience with having.
And where does that take you? If you're telling a story about real estate, and I want you, again, I'm gonna push you till you leave the industry to be good at numbers, because numbers tell awesome stories. I gotta tell you the numbers here that are meaningless. And even that becomes an interesting thing once you know that they're meaningless. So that point is absolutely amazing. Just posting stuff means nothing. Interpreting it, giving it something interesting, something that's spinning. So days on market going up. Is that a good story, bad story, or is it just a story?
I think given the way the market has been for so many years, and I think it's interesting that it is going up because maybe that's indicating it's becoming more of a balanced market.
Ken? One of the things you're going to find out about numbers is that one number doesn't tell the whole story until you start digging into it. So you know, if average days on market is you know, creeping up, that could be a bunch of things. So that could be people are pricing houses badly and they're just sitting. It could be people are bringing junky houses to market and nobody wants them. It could be any number of different things. Averages are the least reliable, worst set of numbers you can ever repeat to anyone because they mean nothing.
And I could be expecting last spring's prices.
Well, again, so average days on market in your neighborhood, is that true? 26 days?
Yeah, no. And a 2 days
Nobody
difference
sees this.
from last year to this year isn't significant.
Yeah.
This
It
is
doesn't
not
mean
Toronto
much to me.
anywhere in Toronto.
Well, that's it. And it is, and yet it is, right? And these are the numbers that the media work from. So if you're able to say, TREB numbers are suggesting that the average house is staying on the market for 26 days, which is a slight increase over this time last year, but in our neighborhood, 10 days is the average. That's a fun story. That's something that, again, pushes them to now want to talk to you more than they want to take their notes from the Toronto Star.
I have a question. So actually, I reviewed some of these numbers yesterday and I hate the word average. I hate, like, I'm also like, I see this and like, it makes me upset. And like, what also bothers me is that on TREB, like, why is TREB giving us this information? Because it's not real information. Why don't they have like the median?
Yeah.
Like even that would be a better one.
Yeah.
And is there a way to find the median number?
There is.
What is,
And
how?
this is what's so funny. You know where you find it? On TREB. But not
How?
TREB, not TREB's website. You go onto MLS.
Yeah, you go and buy
And
it.
you can
But
pick,
it's still average.
no, it's
No,
not.
you can do the median.
You can pick any geographical space, so you could do it by district, you
Yeah,
could
yeah,
do
you can do
whatever.
the statistics.
And you hit statistics, and it will
Yeah.
give you average and median price.
Yeah, I always use that when I go and
Yeah.
I show my clients whatever's happening in their neighborhood.
Yeah, so it gives you, it doesn't do mode, it does
No.
mean and median.
Yeah.
Which again, when we're doing our newsletters, I go a little bit deeper into it. So if we're doing a geographical space, I will then say, now this even, the median is thrown off by a couple different factors. So one is that it happens that in the last 6 months, nothing but bungalows have sold.
Right.
So I can chop off the highest price, I can chop off the lowest price, I can go straight for the middle that should be the most accurate. But if two-story homes weren't selling, that price means nothing,
Of course,
unless I say for a bungalow.
yeah. Unless you're
Right?
really
And
specific.
that's where you get to bring in the really fun part of you being the local expert. And it's so easy to do. You can sit in 5 minutes on TREB and pull up the neighborhoods you are most active in or that you want to be the most active in. And you can just do T-60 for sales and then go through those sales and go, well, that's interesting. So here's semis, here's detached, here's what, oh, so what's the story there? What does that tell me? And if I'm seeing a lot of bungalows, tells me probably next year, there's gonna be a lot of new construction houses hitting the market. So what are the new construction things selling for now? Now, what's the spread between those two things? Interesting. So this might be a good opportunity for builders. Or if the numbers are getting like this, that's the time to say to your builder clients, not this neighborhood anymore, you're done. Let's start looking somewhere else where there's a gap. Because right now, to buy a bungalow for $1 million that's only gonna sell for $2 million when you've got your 2-story thing up, unless you're building it really cheaply and really quickly, there is no profit in that. Because the neighborhood expectation is that these homes are going to be coming in at about $250 a square foot in terms of quality of finish. And it's gotta be 3,500 square foot house, you're $1 million just in construction.
Yeah, that's the problem with averages, it's too general,
Okay.
and you need to be more
So
specific
I'm
with
just-
your clients.
So
Yeah.
I'm just on MLS, so you take the median here. So the average is, say, I'm looking at CO2 for September, for instance. So the average over the month is 1,000,004, and then the median for the month is 970.
Yeah, and this is when this comes up in listings all the time.
Yeah.
So somebody will say, well, the average price, and I'll say, okay, so let's do the average prices. So let's look at your own neighborhood. So a bungalow sells for 400,000. The brand new construction thing at the lake sold for $2 million.
Yeah.
That's $2.4 million. To get to an average, how do we get it? They say, well, you divide by the number of things, right? So let's divide that by 2. So is $1.2 million really the average price for a house in this neighborhood?
No.
We go, no. Got totally skewed by that. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
always.
Really, let's look at bungalows. Now, bungalows have gone from really tatty ones to really nice ones, and here's the range, and yours is in the middle. That's going to be a more accurate sense of price than what averages have been. Yeah, Lisa.
Okay, so there's a few different ways of finding the stats on MLS. But, so when you find the median and the sold statistics, like, you can't do the detached or condos or.
But
We go in by area.
You can if you get really
in-
specific.
But then how do you do it in?
But
So-
when Trev gave us that whole market watch, within the market watch, it goes by district.
They do, and they break it out by
Condo
product.
Yeah,
Condo
yeah,
type,
they do.
detached,
They do it?
They do.
You can always
Yeah.
say, hey,
Okay.
If you don't want to do it
semi-detached.
yourself, they do
But
do
if I wanted
it.
to do it yourself.
Then you
Yeah.
go through and very
Sorry, that's
specifically,
off topic, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
just go into the MLS, go
Yeah.
very specific about what you're searching for.
Oh,
So
like,
let's say
go
it
in the
is,
solds.
yes,
Instead of
and
looking at
then,
the
correct,
stats,
and then all
yourself
you'll
go
hit
into
is
the solds.
statistics,
I
and it'll
see.
tell you all the stats.
Yeah, so again,
I see.
do T minus 30 or T minus 60.
Okay.
Or you can
Okay.
get a
It'll
calendar.
pull up all of the solds, you highlight
The
all of
time
them,
Oh,
and
60
then,
and a half,
and then
70
hit the
days.
stats button.
You're just gonna,
And it'll
plug
break
in
it out
the
to,
Yes.
to median and
Yeah.
average, and it breaks it out by product style, with the
Yeah.
exception of condos. Condos, you have to go into MLS in the condo search,
yeah,
right? There isn't one that brings both together yet.
It's different.
Except for the.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
so,
that's
so
true.
you've got some things here, you've got some stories to tell. Active listings are up, new listings are down. How can that happen? How can we have less new listings but more active listings?
How can we have-
We've got a
sorry, how
supply
can we have
issue.
what?
The sales are up.
How can we have, sorry, Philip?
So you have active listings up 5.6%
Yes.
over the year
Oh, I see.
before,
New
but new
listings
listings are down.
Because
So
they've been
how
on
is
market
that,
for
how is that
Sitting.
possible?
Because they are taking longer to
Yeah,
sell.
this is
Yeah.
sitting,
They're sitting.
because we have more transfer
Yeah.
inventory from August
Yeah.
to September. So again, there's a bunch of fun little things in here. Take a minute, go onto Facebook or Instagram or wherever you do something, and I want you to post one of those stories right now. And see what happens, see what happens over the next couple hours.
Nothing.
And anybody that comments or likes or whatever is now somebody that you can prospect.
I don't know.
And see what happens over the next couple hours. And anybody that comments or likes or whatever is now somebody that you can prospect. And see what happens over the next couple hours. And anybody that comments or likes or whatever is now somebody that you can prospect. And see what happens over the next couple hours. And you can take that reaction and go offline with it and create a conversation. So if they disagree, that's awesome. So now you get an opportunity to say, I saw that you disagreed on my post, wanted to private message you, love to hear why it is you think that's not accurate. And by having a conversation with somebody, you're now actually engaging them, and they can be somebody that turns into a potential client down the road. So just take a minute and post a story.
I need a picture to post.
Yeah, I don't know what to do, Philip. This is pressure. I have to think about this.
So,
No, don't.
Don't overthink it like I always do when I
how do you,
post.
how do you convert that onto a?
September
I don't
Trump
even know
stats
any of
just
this
came
stuff.
out,
On
and
Friday,
interesting fact.
Okay, so
Right.
So you don't have to post the stats.
Okay.
You're posting the
I
interpretation
went
of it.
into the link that gives me this picture,
Okay.
and then I just hit it on my phone. It says save image,
Oh, I got you, okay.
and then I go to my camera, and I fiddle with it a bit. Now, I can go to Facebook, and go to my business page, wait, and then
Put it in.
put it in.
Okay, so it's just the standard way. I thought it was a different way. Oh, there it is, okay.
Just make sure.
Because sometimes I see on other realtors, like I've been looking like they customize like the logo or something.
Well, you can.
If you want, but it's not even worth it, right?
It's not worth it? Well, it is, because it's your page, and it depends
More
on
to
how
put
you're
your,
gonna
like-
market it. If you're
If you
sending it
want to put your
specifically to
name.
someone directly, or you're just posting it on your website.
make sure
You
it's
don't
not
need to be
cut.
redundant.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Sorry.
You should repost.
Philip's making us put stuff on in social media.
Yeah.
And I feel like Instagram.
You're gonna take something from one of those numbers, you're gonna
Yes.
interpret it in a way that
I'm
you
not
think
even
is
there
an
yet.
interesting conversation
That's why I
starter,
feel like-
Okay.
and you're gonna post it
I
on
don't,
Facebook.
so you can put it on Facebook if you want. or-
So it could be as
Like
simple
if my-
as September stats just came out for
Yeah,
Trev,
'cause no one
here's a
knows that
number.
yet.
Interesting thing about this is,
This is,
I haven't had,
yes,
I haven't had my.
whatever you
Sorry.
wanna engage in.
okay.
And then coming out of that, everybody that reacts to that post today, you're going to engage in a conversation outside of that post. So you're gonna private message them, you're gonna chat, you're prospecting right now.
Where did you get this from again?
So you're the- so let me look at it.
So, I got an email.
This is from Trev, right?
Here.
Yeah, you get my email this month, Market Watch.
So you'd be doing this like every month,
I do.
basically.
Well, I don't even know.
Well, you,
2 months.
you'd make it a goal like to do it every
Yes.
month if you wanted to, okay.
So
And
here's,
just put something.
Yeah,
see that email?
yeah.
So go to Market Watch by the numbers.
Oh, here we go.
I've seen
Yeah.
them, I just don't know. Oh, they're there, okay. Across the market.
Okay, did everybody get a chance to post something?
Not yet, but go ahead.
very, very quickly, how many people do you have in the group that you just posted to?
150?
Okay.
Not a lot.
Everybody? I want to hear your numbers.
On the count?
908.
908, is that Facebook?
Instagram?
Instagram?
Just 158.
That's not a lot.
You're like Justin
It is.
Bieber.
I don't think that's a lot. I don't
No,
even
no,
act-
no,
I don't
it's
even
okay.
actively
It's
do
not a lot for your
How many-
age.
How do you even know how many you have?
908.
I know everybody on mine too.
What do you mean, how do you know? Yeah, my kids
900
have like
people.
1,500, and
Okay.
that's like, but they
So,
hire
so
people to make it
900,
look like
900 so
somebody.
far the
You can
biggest
buy
number.
likes.
Can you buy those?
908, anybody bigger than that?
No.
Did anybody post to more than one social media source? Is anybody a Hootsuiter or any of those? No. I personally find that ridiculously
What's
annoying.
that?
Hootsuite's a fun, so you can add in all of your social media accounts. You go to Hootsuite, post once, it goes to all of them.
Oh,
Now, the problem is, if you have people who are on more than one of your things, they get the same thing
Oh,
over and over,
right.
and it starts to feel, yeah.
yeah,
I compartmentalize all of my social media stuff. Some is just purely
personal.
fun,
yeah.
and some is business.
Right.
So we've got a low of 150.
I have 2,028 on my Facebook.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, Alicia, you're the queen.
Okay,
Was this
You can
before
do it
you,
too.
before you got into real estate, you were just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is
fine.
just
I don't
being
post anything
heard.
on my social
But
media.
on my
Oh, you don't.
Facebook personally.
But I want to.
yeah.
You wanna get.
So we're gonna leave that. So this is like the Arctic fishermen that just they're baiting the traps, right? Throwing them off the boat. We don't know what we're gonna catch, but what we do know is that this morning you made on average 4 to 5 contacts. You did some notes already, and you just interacted with anywhere between 40 to 900 people. And it's 11:30 in the morning. If every day was like that, what would your business start to look like?
I mean, many of some things.
By the way, how much of that time did I take up talking? And I wouldn't be in your house every day talking to you for 2 hours every morning. So the amount of time and effort that it took to accomplish what you have already today has been uncomfortable, but it hasn't been a giant task. Would you agree?
Yes,
Was this doable?
yes.
So Gary says this a lot, and when he's talking about the importance of lead generation in real estate, he talks about this pretty regularly. And when he says, my fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating, it's helpful to know that what he was talking about at the time was living out of his car, having moved to Austin with nothing, right? Like he came out of university, wanted to be a real estate agent, went out, got his license, showed up, had enough money to live out of his car till he got some money from his parents to move into an apartment. And it was a threadbare apartment. And his database, his first database, he talks about this every time he gets on stage, his database was a shoebox and 3x5 cards. So when he's now coaching agents, and to get into his coaching group, you have to be a $1 million GCI producer for 5 years in a row to even be considered to be in that group. And when somebody says to him, well, I didn't get those numbers that I committed to this week because I was working on my database, and I'm choosing providers and I'm building websites, you can imagine that somebody that started with a shoebox says, you can have excuses or you can have results, you can't have both. There's nothing stopping us from lead generating. We don't need tools. We need a phone, we need feet, and we need a great mindset to do
Yeah,
it.
what year is that?
1970
something, right?
This would have been, late
That's the
70s.
Rolodex was the, he's the one trying to roll the
Late
Rolodex.
70s, first of the oil disasters in the States. If you can imagine working out of Houston or Austin, where the oil industries were based, it was a financial disaster, and yet he was able to sell homes, which is another reason why, and you've been through a whole bunch of shifts. When people say the market's changing and that's why my business is down, people that have gone through a shift have said that's an excuse. We sell houses when interest rates were 18%. We sold houses when there were financial collapses going on. You know what we did? We went out and we hit the pavement and we met people and we built solid relationships and we always followed up. That's it. Like those are the fundamentals, right? And it's about making sure that you commit to it. If you believe that your business starts every day with lead generating activities, you will be successful. If you believe that lead generating is what you need to do when the business that's accidentally dropping in your lap dries up, you're gonna struggle. There's no business in any vertical that started its process with, if I build a shoe or I build a laptop or I build whatever, and I'm not gonna sell them, people will come to me to buy them. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy when we see that. So putting it all together, lead generating, would we agree that it's not just a good idea, it's an actual business fundamental?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Is there anybody that disagrees with that as a concept? Does anybody think that they can have a successful ongoing business without spending intentional time to find new clients every day?
It's impossible.
It's pretty impossible. So yeah, so putting it all together, the action plan, if I go back. So your action plan is really, if you go to page 38 of your materials, so continuing to add contacts to your database. And when do you do that?
Every day.
Every day. Every day. We talk about real estate being a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday thing, said no one ever.
Who said that? Yeah.
Right. So how cool is it though that Saturday when you bring the kids skating or you're going skiing, you can have a conversation with someone, and if your mindset is, if we do business together, I get to help you and I'm going to be your partner in sort of creating opportunities for your family, that's not doing business. That's talking about opportunities. And you can do that 7 days a week. And the more you do it consistently, the less you have to do a sort of a stacked version of it. Nobody lead generates 9 to 5. Nobody. The Gene Rivers group though, and I will say this.
Not even Irene?
No, not even Irene. If you go to the Gene Rivers business plan thing, he talks a lot about his team and how they're set up. And he is, I believe, of the old school real estate guys, he is constantly on the bleeding edge of things. So he is the first of the team leaders that I've heard of that does what we used to do in technology, which is be results-based solely. So he says to his team, once you have added this many contacts and you have gone on this many appointments and closed this many deals, your week is done. Now, if you choose to do that in 2 days and you want 5 days off, go for it. And he does. He's got a couple people that come in on Mondays and they do all their lead gen from 9 to 7 p.m. They've got 40 contacts they want to make. They knock them out. They've got to book 5 appointments. They will bang them out until they get done. And from Wednesday to Sunday, they do whatever they do. I don't know what they do. I would go crazy with that kind of time off every week. And then there's others that come in and they do 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day and just kind of parcel it out, and they have more balance in their lives. At the end of the day, you own your own business, so you decide which of those things seems to work better for you. I don't think anybody should be working 7 days a week, but I think the opportunity to connect with people is a 7-day-a-week thing. And I don't stop talking to people Friday night. Anybody I talk to Saturday, I'm talking to. I'm not working, But if we then lead to an exchange of cards, because I think what they're doing is really interesting, and I see an opportunity for us to hang out together, then that's just an honor.
That's like I was telling Karen this morning, you're at a cocktail party, it always revolves around real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
And that's why you have to have your cards,
I know.
give your
I
cards.
do that, maybe attached today. It's working.
It's a generic one, put your name on it.
We do a fun thing, and it's more of a thank you and a networking thing. Instead of doing big events, we try to get couples about 10 months of the year. So we'll do dinners Fridays or Saturdays, and we try to match two sets of people that don't know each other, which is fun. But we start every night with saying, so here's the agreement. No real estate talk. We're just talking.
Sorry,
Yeah,
is this with
right,
your friends,
yeah.
like your?
No clients.
Yeah, right.
Clients.
So sorry, you get two
That's
separate
fine.
couples, so there's
Yeah.
3 couples together, so it's 6 people in total?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Including you and Irene.
Yeah, and again, sometimes they've got kids, sometimes they don't, and we'll do the matching based on just sort of family and lifestyle. We've got people coming over Friday that can't leave their dog, they've got a new rescue dog, so I'm trying to figure out how to lock my cats up and do whatever, but it's fun. So in doing that, we start off by saying, like, this is about you guys, not us. And every night, somebody says, can I break the rule? Because so my cousin's looking at this place in Muskoka, and we want you to, like, okay, well, 10 minutes, then we're back to tequila, and just building and deepening the relationship. And one of the things we found is that I'm not spending any more money doing that than I would doing a giant client event. In fact, it might be less. I don't know.
And are you treating everybody?
Hmm?
Do you treat everybody? Like those couples? Like-
Yeah, like I cook. It's
Oh,
it's
sorry,
in my
like,
house.
He charges them
sorry,
to come in.
I pictured you out at a restaurant.
That's what I
Oh,
used to do.
no,
With the cats and the dogs.
It's in our house.
With the cats and the
It's in our
dogs.
house with the cats and the dog.
And you
But
pick 2 random people that don't even know each other,
Yeah.
so it really gets conversations.
yeah, it's a fun
Cool.
night. So we enjoy doing it because it's fun. I never know what's going to
Brings
happen.
up his house, that's.
But
I love that.
It's a tax write-off.
There was a TV show like that.
One of the interesting pieces that comes out of that is if you accept that everyone you know, everybody that's going to do business with you knows 10 other realtors, and they have to pick. When it comes time to do business, someone is getting the business and someone isn't.
Yeah.
Well, how much harder is it to deny the people whose home you hung out at? Right? I can get flyers in the mail all the time. I can get things, I can go to we're taking everybody to the movies, it's whatever, and I'm there with 500 people. But if I've sat and eaten in your home, chances that we have a deeper relationship are way higher. And I eat every night, so I'm not adding time to my schedule. And I love cooking, so it's a win-win all around. So adding people, developing methods for prospecting. So that combining or continuing to add people, that's every day. What's your commitment to developing methods for prospecting? We talked about places to get them. You have to figure out what you're going to commit to, whether it's in one of those 5 categories, or whether it's one a week and doing, sort of a cycle of the bunch of them. But you're going to have to physically plan and execute a method of prospecting. That's the only way you're gonna add people and feed your database.
So when do you, what is the best day of the week or time of the day to come up with your action plans, to do your time blocking, to do that working on your business instead of in your business kind of
Yeah,
activities?
so I guess that's really up to you. Monday mornings, I think, are a great time to plan your week.
Yeah.
We do our planning Sunday night, and it's just because it's easier, right? And because we host a team meeting every Monday morning, so we've got to be prepared to go in and say, okay, here's the week for everybody. So Sunday night, we plan our week. We also, if you get the chance to sit down and do Irene's time blocking seminar, it's invaluable. And you will get an insight into my life that I'm uncomfortable with, because everything outside of one activity is time blocked. And then just by process of elimination, you can kind of go, Well, it probably has to happen between, but it's got like grocery shopping, workouts, like everything. It gives us the balance that we need because everything is an appointment. And no one gets to break those appointments. So if somebody calls and says, really want to go see something, and it's grocery shopping time, we don't say, sorry, we're at Loblaws. We say, we're booked. We're booked then, how about that?
Yeah, so do I.
And you get the balance. It's fantastic.
I have a lot of.
But yeah, Monday morning is a good time to plan your week. And then Monday afternoon, time block 3 to 4 to look at how did the week go? And what's my weekend? So if I wasn't able to get to all of my numbers Monday to Friday, I guess then tomorrow, Saturday, I've got to take an hour and I've got to hit those numbers. Because it's about the numbers, not about how long it takes you to get there. If you commit to the numbers, the business will be there. But you don't get to say, I didn't hit the numbers this week, I guess I have to put them in the next week. What you do is say, I have to. Putting 2 to 3 time blocking pieces into action. So you definitely want to be, at least at this point, being able to time block your lead generation. So put it in the calendar, lock it in, do your, here's my prep time, here's my actual lead generating time and prospecting, and here's where I do my follow-up and my chronicling of what's going on. And then figuring out what you have to do for the next class, which is Friday. So what do you have to do between now and then?
Lead generate.
Lead generate.
Yes,
Yeah.
lead generate. Time block my lead generated. And if you can do that and actually hit the numbers, so the planning is where everybody gets caught up. I'm gonna plan that, I'm gonna plan, because you know why? Because it's less comfortable for me to do that than to plan doing that. So don't. That's, Dylan's takeaway, just do it. Just do it. There's an agent out at the KW Advantage office, Doug Workman, who in his office, when they were building their team, he just taped a big sign to the top of his monitor, and it says, because you have to. Right? It doesn't matter whether you feel like it that day or whatever. If you really believe that every day is the building block for every other day, you don't get to skip a day. So do it because you have to. It's better if you want to, but at the end of the day, your business doesn't care whether you want to or not. And if you want a business that's going to create the legacies that you want it to do, you have to attend to it and feed it every day. So get out there and prospect and lead generate. Feed that database. Any sort of questions, ahas? Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to while we've still got our 10 minutes together?
Your home cooked meal with the 2 separate couples is like brilliant.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And share it. Do it. Seriously, do it. It's so much fun.
I don't know if my fiance, I've tried to do that. Because when I send those thank you notes, my response, I get clients who are like, I would love to have you and your fiance for dinner. Like, so many of my clients are now inviting me for dinner. And
Your fiance must have lots of friends that you can.
So he does, it's just that like we're both, I know this is not an
business.
excuse, but he's, whatever, we're both very busy and like when he's not
That is an
working, he
excuse.
just doesn't
What does he
want to
do?
work.
What does he do?
Yeah.
What's this
He
guy
like,
do?
he has 2 full-time jobs.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like he, like, and he
To
actually
legitimately
he doesn't even,
is.
yeah, he doesn't even allow me to work at home anymore. Like I have to leave, if I can't make a phone call at my own house, like, and at first it upset me, but now it's like, I get it, like,
Yeah.
there has to be a balance, there has to be a time where you can come home and have,
This is
like,
where you
relax.
time
Like,
block.
This is your peaceful home, like,
Yeah.
I get it, now I get it,
Yeah.
but before I didn't. And then, so like, as much as I would love to do that, I guess I could do it without him.
You could for sure. And again, because if he's not going to be into it,
He's not
gonna-
into it,
he's
I
gonna be
know,
ignorant.
but I love the idea, and I love
But
my
you could
clients.
do, if he's like super exhausted at the end of the
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday's like still a kind of recovery,
Yeah.
like do a Sunday brunch club.
Wow. And then wait, do you still host it at home? People probably wanna go,
No, hey, seriously, I mean, if you
Right
can,
from home, or
promote,
yeah,
really cheap.
if you can perfect an omelet,
Well, you don't need a new home, you can write up a portion of the home.
I love, okay,
yeah, I would do, in that situation, and I would sit down with him and say, so here's my plan and here's where I think it's gonna take us. And if you could carve out, like from 10 in the morning till 1, and you don't have to be here, you don't have to do anything, but I'm going to bring some people into the house. And
Yeah.
I will make breakfast and I will deal with it and just get his buy-in.
yeah,
And he can be there or not be there,
yeah.
you know, it'll be up to him.
And I like that there's no drinking too, cause
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Well, mimosas.
yeah, but you can even
So
do.
you're not, no
you
one's
can-
gonna have like bottles and.
Oh, no,
No, no, no,
Yeah.
but you can also, you can do, we always give people an alcohol-free option.
Yeah.
So we always have like sparkling
Sure.
juices and orange juice instead of champagne and orange juice.
Yeah,
No, anything you do that's you, that's a reflection of who you are as a person is awesome.
there, I like this. I'm gonna think about it, I like it.
Okay?
I really like it.
Yeah, and you know what, even if you do it once a month, or you do
Yeah.
whatever, like, if anything is
Yeah,
better than
weekly's
nothing.
pretty tough, but yeah.
Once a month is totally doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can turn it into, you know, something that's as big or as small as you want it to be.
Mhm.
It could be all the people that have done deals with me this month.
Oh,
And you can turn that into its own marketing piece. So you could do like a fun little photo of, hey, here's the September brunch club. We had, you know, fantastic afternoon, you know, thank you so much for your business. And my brunch club is something that's open to everybody who does a deal with me. We do it at the end of each month. Now, does that help motivate people to want to do business or to refer business to you because they want to be part of the club? Might.
love it, love it. Yeah,
Cool.
amazing, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
lead generating every day. Every day. And we'll hit any number you want to hit. Cool. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
So
you.
cool.
Thank you for that.
So Friday morning, bring in your numbers from your lead generating because you are going to get asked. That's okay, just leave it at the end of the table.
Who's hosting on Friday?
Friday is Milan Bell.